Good morning, students. Happy Tuesday. So here we have our very first exercise for decimals. So we have completed our fractions and we are going to start learning how to read decimals. So after you complete your review exercises and speed drills, we're going to go over and read these directions. It says to read decimals, first read the whole number, next read the decimal point as and, we'll go over that. Then read the number after the decimal point and its place value. So we're just going to learn for today how we say these decimal numbers. There's a special way to say them, and it's important that you understand how as we continue working with decimals. So just so you know, the whole number always is the number that comes before the decimal. So any number before the dot is your whole number, and that's the number that you read first. So it says read the whole number first. So here we have an example. We have 3.2. We're going to read our whole number. So we would say 3 because that's the number that comes before the decimal. And then you're going to read the decimal point as and. And what that means is you're not going to say 3 point and then we go on. You would say 3 and. So just pretend that little decimal point means the word and then read the number after the decimal point and then its place value. So all of that seems like a lot at first, but I promise it gets a lot easier. So here it says 3 and 2 to what? So in this case, it's 2/10. But how do we know that? We know by looking here, and this is something that you're going to have to go back on and remind yourself. Here are all of the places. So here we have our whole number. Like I said, it comes before the decimal. Then after the decimal, you have the tens place. That's the first number right after the decimal. Then our hundredths place, our thousandths place, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and millionths. And we probably won't be going too far past the thousandths place, but just so you know, we have our ones place, which is our whole number, and then tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, and so on. So 3.2 would be said as 3 and 2/10 because the 2 is in the tens place. Now we have a decimal that does not have a whole number here. When you don't have a whole number, you obviously don't have to say anything. And you don't actually have to even say and because we're not saying anything before the decimal. So we're going to look for which place this number is in. So here we have 007 beyond the decimal. So we would go 2 places past the decimal. 007 would be in the thousandths place. So we would say 7,000ths. And more commonly, we'll have our whole number with a few numbers past the decimal. And this is how you do it. You say your whole number, 14, and 16. Well, 16 what? We have a number in the tens place. We have a number in the hundreds place. Well, the trick is to focus on the last number. So although you say 16, we're going to find out which place the last number is in. And in this case, it's 2 numbers past the decimal. It's in the hundredths place. So we would say 14 and 16 hundredths. So The activity for today is to write out these decimal numbers in words. And it will be easy if you follow step by step. We're going to do both of the samples together. So here we have 2.6. Remember, we read the whole number first, read the decimal as and then read the numbers after the decimal and their places. So we would have 2 and 6. 6 what? Well, the 6 is in the tens place. Tenths. Here for our second sample, we're going to do the same thing. Read the whole number first, 12, and 7. 7 what? What place is the 7 at? Well, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, the hundredths place. I'm just going to write it down here. 12 and 7/100. Let's do one more just as a reminder. When you don't have a whole number, you don't need to say anything or the word and. So you just figure out what place this number is in. In this case, this number is in the tenths place. So we would write 6 tenths. And you'll continue to do that all through this page before we go on to our next activity, but it's important that you know how to write them before we move on. Here for Tuesday, we have more pronoun practice. So we're just going over the same concepts with a few different exercises to practice our pronouns. So here it says to change the form of the pronoun in parentheses again, if necessary. So we're doing pretty much the same thing we did yesterday, except we may have to do it more than once. So here we have a sentence with blanks, and then we have our pronoun here in parentheses, and we're just figuring out where and if we have to change that pronoun. So we have she here for number 1, and the sentence says, did blank find the umbrella that was blank? So that means we need to find out which kind of pronoun this should be changed to. Did she find the umbrella that was she? Well, the first part does sound good. Did she find the umbrella that was hers? That sounds much better. So you're going to use the same pronoun, but you might have to change it depending on which blank it needs to make sense. For number 2, we have we. We parents will pick we up at 5? I don't think so. Our parents will pick us up at 5. That makes a lot more sense. So that's what you're going to do. Use this word in the parentheses to determine which are the correct forms of the pronouns that belong. And again, we're going to do here what we did yesterday is just cross out the incorrect pronoun. So you're going to read it, you're going to cross out the wrong one. Here for our vocabulary assignment for Tuesday, self-explanatory. You guys are very used to this by now. Look up your 4 vocabulary words in the back of the book. Make sure you are looking them up specifically and carefully, as sometimes I notice there are a few here switched in the wrong spot, these meanings here. So just take your time, look up those definitions precisely before you answer your questions, and then complete the rest of your exercises as normal.